Sarah had always been an adventurous soul, unafraid of the unknown. That's why, on a chilly autumn night, she found herself driving alone on a desolate, winding road that cut through a dense forest. Her ancient car sputtered, groaned, and finally gave up with an unsettling silence, its headlights casting an eerie glow into the darkness. Stranded on this remote road with no cell phone signal, Sarah's heart raced. She knew she needed help, but her surroundings offered no solace, just an endless expanse of shadowy trees. With a sigh, she stepped out of the car, the crisp air chilling her to the bone. Her breath formed frosty clouds as she scanned her surroundings, desperate for any sign of civilization. As she pondered her predicament, a sudden chill gripped her spine. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw a figure, tall and gaunt, emerging from the shadows. Her heart pounded as the figure drew nearer, revealing a man in ragged clothing. His hollow eyes bore into hers, a sardonic grin creeping across his pale face. "Car trouble?" he asked, his voice a low, chilling whisper. Sarah hesitated, her instincts warning her to stay away, but she had no other choice. She nodded, her words failing her. The stranger's grin widened. "I can help you," he said, his voice taking on a honeyed, persuasive tone. Cautiously, Sarah allowed him to inspect her car. His bony fingers expertly fiddled with wires and tubes. To her astonishment, the engine roared back to life. Relief washed over her, and she thanked the stranger profusely. As he turned to leave, Sarah felt a pang of guilt. "Wait," she said. "I can't just let you go without offering something in return." The stranger paused, his grin never faltering. "Very well," he replied. "I have a request." Curiosity and gratitude intertwined as Sarah nodded, eager to repay her savior. "Anything," she said. He leaned in closer, his breath ice-cold against her ear. "I need a ride," he whispered, "to my home deep in these woods." Sarah hesitated, the realization of her situation finally hitting her. She was alone on a dark, deserted road, and the only help she had found was this enigmatic stranger. But a promise was a promise, and she agreed to give him a ride. The man climbed into her car, his presence sending shivers down her spine. The forest seemed denser, the shadows darker, as she drove further into the woods. The silence was deafening, broken only by the haunting hoots of owls and the occasional rustle of leaves. After what felt like hours, Sarah finally pulled up to a decrepit, ancient mansion, its windows shattered and its walls crumbling. "This is it," the stranger declared, stepping out of the car. Sarah's heart raced as she watched him disappear into the dilapidated house. The fear she had suppressed for so long began to claw its way to the surface. She knew she had to leave, but when she turned the key in the ignition, the car remained silent. Panic set in as she tried again and again, but the engine refused to cooperate. With a sense of impending doom, Sarah decided to enter the mansion. She cautiously stepped over the threshold, her footsteps echoing through the eerie silence. The dim moonlight filtered through the shattered windows, casting ghastly shadows on the decaying wallpaper. She followed the sound of whispering voices, her heart pounding louder with each step. In a dimly lit room, she found the stranger surrounded by candles, their flickering flames casting eerie shadows on the walls. The room was adorned with ancient symbols and strange markings, an unsettling atmosphere heavy in the air. Sarah demanded answers, her voice quivering. "What is this place? What do you want from me?" The stranger turned to face her, his eyes gleaming with malevolence. "You were kind enough to give me a ride," he hissed, "and now you will become a part of this place, like all the others." The realization struck Sarah like a thunderbolt. The mansion was a trap, a place where the stranger lured unsuspecting victims to feed his sinister desires. Desperation fueled her, and she made a run for it. But the doors and windows slammed shut, trapping her inside. She fled through the winding corridors, chased by the malicious laughter of the stranger. Ghostly apparitions materialized from the shadows, reaching out to grab her. Despair threatened to consume her, but she pressed on, determined to escape this nightmare. Finally, she burst into a room bathed in moonlight, revealing an ornate mirror hanging on the wall. With the stranger hot on her heels, she took a desperate gamble. She reached out and touched the mirror, and in an instant, she was pulled into its reflective surface. Sarah found herself back on the road, her car purring contentedly beneath her. The forest had disappeared, and the moon hung high in the sky. It was as if the mansion and the sinister stranger had never existed.